I grind for the love of the game. If you drop these guys, it's a drop you'll despise. We grind for the love of the game. When season-long holds evolve from a simple stream, they all hope to be named to the all-fantasy Glue Guys team.
Glue Guys! Our favorite episode of the year is finally here.
It's not just our favorite episode. It might be the most sought-after yearly episode in the history of niche fantasy basketball podcasting.
I think that there is at least 1% of the vernacular of basketball that has come from Projecting the Jump's episode on this. I take a little bit of credit every time Zach Lowe says Glue Guys or Bill Simmons throws it out there. I'm like, wait a second.
We've been listening to basketball podcasts for so long that I'll catch something I say and I'll be like, oh, that was a Howard Beckism, or like, you'll just be talking and like they're ingrained now. Maybe one day somebody will have like a Natronism or a Flyin Jism.
We can only hope.
Well, this is our flagship episode. We're really excited to bring this to you. Natron and I did want to acknowledge what's going on in our country. We want to dedicate this podcast to Renee Good and Alex Pretty. There's a lot that's been going on, and Projecting the Jump is not down with fascism. So let the record show it.
Yeah, if you're a fascist, you feel free to leave a 1-star review. We can absorb it. Get out of here.
But just please mention that it's a fascist review, so it's clear. That would be helpful.
True. Right. Yeah.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
All right, Nate. So for those who have not heard this this is our 4th edition of the Fantasy Glue Guys squads that we're going to each be unveiling. And in PTJ fashion, we do not know the players on each other's lists. How would you define or kind of explain what this concept is, how it's evolved, and how you approach it this season?
Yeah, evolved is definitely a great word. I mean, I feel like it's a kind of a concept that we coined a few years ago because, I mean, everybody's roster, you have your core guys that are always going to be part of your team, and those are kind of no-brainers. Fantasy basketball is won so much on the margins, and I think identifying some of these guys that are undervalued, especially in 9-cat, because it's so difficult to quantify how valuable a guy is. I mean, when you're comparing the 11th center versus the 16th shooting guard, it's a little difficult. So I think what we've kind of placed a higher value on in fantasy is having some of these guys that provide, and there's a bunch of different ways you can define a glue guy. I mean, I think some of the core things would be they're providing a little bit of a trickle of stats, kind of helping you across the board and not hurting you, and providing really consistent production. So they're more valuable. A lot of other people will be dropping these guys or streaming these guys, and we're kind of saying, hey, take a beat. This is a season-long hold. This is somebody you really want on your roster. What are some of the characteristics that you think are most valuable as far as glue guys go?
Yeah, I think you nailed a lot of the core aspects. A glue guy usually, as I've said in years past on this podcast, has more value to your squad than we'll have in trade negotiations. Like a lot of the players on this list... Yeah. And the players that definition doesn't work for, players that you can go to the trade table and you can get fair value, those players kind of elevate out of the glue guys list. And we're going to touch on some of those players before we begin our glue guys. But they tend to be a player that you find them onto your roster and you realize they're just too valuable to throw back to the wire. They're no longer a streamer. And when you throw them into a trade, someone's like, you just picked up that guy off the wire 3 weeks ago, dude. I'm not falling for that. So because you got them off the wire, and a lot of times they are journeymen or they are role players who have elevated in some capacity. They've taken that jump that, they hold your team together like glue because they're found money. And so if you get some of these guys as your 8th or 9th best player, that's going to really strengthen your team.
For sure, yeah. And most of these guys they're not the high point scorers, and so they don't, I think a lot of casual fans might not even recognize how good these players are because they're not putting out these, the stats that lead box scores on ESPN. But as everybody who's listened to this program kind of knows, I mean, with 9 categories, you can be a superstar in these categories and never make it onto those, they never get shown on SportsCenter. True.
Most glue guys fit their criteria, and some glue guys score 40 points against the best team in the East. We'll get there. All right, so let's go through what I'm calling the probably too good list. So when I was going through this, like I said, I tried to avoid players who could be considered the waiver wire pickup of the year. That's another themed podcast we'll probably do eventually. Or best late round pick. Some of these guys that were just complete smashes. I'm just going to roll through some names. Nate, I'll give you a quick chance to respond on some of them. The first name for me that tops this list is Ryan Rollins.
Yeah. That's a perfect example. He would be a glue guy if he was 30 spots lower in the rankings, but he's quite seriously just a really core member of your team.
Exactly. Second player on this list for me is I have Knipple. Can you milk me? That's Con Knipple.
Yeah, Matt Boucher in our league. That's the best. I think that's the best fantasy team name I've seen in years. It's really terrific.
The other day, my partner goes, "Can you stop saying that team name?" I was just like saying it in the kitchen. I probably said it 7 times. Just like
say it one more time in case somebody missed it.
I have Knipple. Can you milk me? So yeah, Con Knipple, Charlotte Hornets, incredible breakout. I honestly didn't know he was that good as a prospect. Sometimes some of these guys who come out of Duke, especially some of the American-born players, happen to be Caucasian. I kind of overlook their skill sets at times and how it will translate. I didn't foresee him being this good this quickly.
I think I texted you. This is one of my biggest whiffs. I texted you right after the draft. I said, Knipple, Buss, Flag, and Malawach are the stars of that team.
Yes.
Whoops.
Knipple bust.
Yeah.
So here's an example of someone who I think's too good for this list, but has taken a classic glue guy's path, and that's Peyton Watson in Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't fault you if he's on your list. Don't reveal it now. But when I saw that he was the number 1 ranked player in 9Cat for a week recently, he graduated off this list for me.
Yeah, I think with his opportunity kind of catapulted him up. I think if he was still, if still all those guys were available and he was providing that 6 man, he would definitely be in that category. But he's now just kind of a star now, and then we'll probably go to a glue guy later in the season.
That's a great point. We're recording this on the night that Joker returned, January 30th. And also, I believe yesterday it was announced that Aaron Gordon's going to miss quite a bit of time with the hamstring.
Yeah.
So that's a tough one. I think Peyton Watson, he's going to be a season-long hold. I think there's a correlation between him and Aaron Gordon that's pretty strong.
For sure, yeah.
A couple more names. We'll roll through them a little quickly. VJ Edgecombe, just his weekly upside, rest of season promise. He's kind of off the glue guys list for me. Andrew Wiggins, surprisingly, is right on that line. I'm going to roll through some of these guys in case they're on your list.
Andrew Wiggins was one of those guys I had written down, and I started to write up stuff, and I was like, he's too good.
It's a little too good. Yeah. Another one of those guys, which I considered naming him the glue guys MVP. But he's off the list, and that's Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Again, he's found money. You didn't pay for him. You picked him up off the waiver wire. And for me, that's one of the most important qualifiers to be a glue guy. It's cost. Some of the players who fit the glue guy list, they were just a little too expensive in the draft. And so you have a glue guy now, but you paid, like Dyson Daniels is really a glue guy now.
Right.
Glue guy plus, but he's putting up glue guy numbers. Even like Thompson in Detroit.
I would say, Men would be one too.
Yeah, exactly. So another one that's just maybe a little too good is Dante DiVincenzo. At least his ranking would have that, but I think these last two were the closest, and they just missed my team, and that's DiVincenzo and Grayson Allen. He just barely got cut. It would have been his second glue guys appearance, at least for me. So we'll see if he's on your list. But I thought maybe
I only left him off because I thought he was too obvious.
Yeah.
I do think he should qualify. I don't know if I would say that he's too good. I think that he should be a glue guy. I would say he's on the all glue guys snub team.
All glue guys snub team. But yeah, we'll have to put a little short out on the snub team. I like that. Gonna roll through a mini list. It's called I hate to drop, but his coach hates him list. The captain of this team is Reed Shepherd for me. He could be a glue guy, and I think he is a hold. It's really the hope that he gets more minutes in the rotation that keeps you there. I think if you look on your waiver wire in an average size league, you might find more value in streaming Reed Shepherd's spot than holding him all season if nothing changes. How do you feel about that one?
I'm on record of not thinking Reed Shepherd is a good player.
You are.
But I think I'm at the 1% on there. But I will also acknowledge that his opportunities through the roof. What he's providing a skill set that team needs so desperately. Really I do think he actually is. He's going to be a roller coaster play, but I think he should be on a roster at all times, but I also, you're going to sit through some stinkers, but I think he should be on a roster.
He should probably be on a roster, but he's not quite glue guy level, just below it. Another name, I hate to drop, but this coach hates him, Khalil Ware. One day he might move right past glue guys. He's not good enough to be there because he's not getting the minutes. He played 12 minutes yesterday and just cooked.
Yeah.
So
Well, he might be on a new team in 7 days, so
we can
I
hope
would
so.
actually probably bet that he's on a new team in 7 days.
Yeah, the Heat are a smart franchise. I'm sure that they'd like to extract some value from a player that's fallen out of favor with Spo, or never really was in favor. And then the last two names before we get into the list. When I started research on this, I had both Hornets centers. Although it looks like Diabate has jumped off of this list of late. Still don't fully trust the center rotation. But these are two players that it seemed like, where's this headed? And so they didn't quite make the Glue Guys list. But again, Diabate could have burst through that list in just the last two games.
I love how I feel like for the first couple seasons of this podcast, we'd mentioned Kelly Oubre every single episode.
Yes.
I think he had like a 25 podcast streak appearance. Now, in a bizarre twist, it's Diabate has made an appearance on every single podcast this season, which is a total shock to me.
Yeah, it's very on brand for us. Good shout out there. All right, let's get into it. Dan, I'm going to let you kick this off. Give us your first 2025-26 All Fantasy Glue Guy team member.
Well, so this is a guy who I actually thought you were going to name in the two good guys, but and I think he probably has now graduated to that. But I really wanted to name him mainly so you and I could take a victory lap on this one, because it is last season's Glue Guy. It's a guy we listed right at the end, and we said, watch out for him. He's going to be on next year's Glue Guys roster. This player is
Matisse Thybulle.
Oh, man.
What's funny
luckily we didn't say that.
I combed through all my previous Glue Guys, I have the Google Docs, to look for players who will be making a repeat appearance. And so I recently looked at these notes, and I just don't have a good guess. So we'll keep it moving. Who you got?
Yeah, so this would be the MVP of my team here. This is Anthony Black.
That's good. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I loved watching him last year. I thought he's the number 71th ranked player over the last month,
right.
So he's just perhaps too good to be on this list. Right. He's averaging, it's kind of one of those things is like what changed from last year to this year. Obviously there's been some injuries, so the minutes have been there, but really kind of, as he was coming out of Arkansas, he was a big point guard, great size, and watching him last season, he had a great feel for the game. He moved off ball really well. He had good passing. At that 6'8" for the point guard position, he gets lots of rebounds, but he couldn't shoot. This season, he's taking 5 threes per game and hitting him at a 35% clip, which is really good, especially for like a jump from year over year. So now he's hitting threes, 17, 4, and 6 on with 2.1 stocks. So that's just a really well-rounded game in general. I think coming into the season, he was kind of that high-end streamer a little bit. I was on and off the carousel multiple times in the beginning of the season. I mean, I picked him up, dropped him, picked him up, dropped him. He went through a 2-game rough stretch where I think he made like 2 for 20 from the field, and I dropped him. But then since December 9th, when Orlando has inserted him into the starting lineup, Anthony Black is just cooked. And, so I think he's on that fringe. What do you think about Anthony Black? Do you think this level of production is going to continue once all the original starters come back into the fold here soon?
It's just funny because you were mentioning you had him on and off your roster, and the beginning of my opening rhyme was, if you drop these guys, it's a drop you despise. And that is...
It kills me. All season, I've just been like, I just dropped him at the wrong time, and he's never come back onto the wire again. And he won't. And I've come to terms with that.
So I have an exciting announcement, but first I have to let you know that Anthony Black, and I did this just arbitrarily for fun to the listeners here. I did like an all-star format where I have starters. So I have the 5 positions, and then I have 7 bench players. So my starting shooting guard on my All Fantasy Glue Guys team is Anthony Black.
Oh, okay.
So we got a big crossover there. And for you, Natron, and maybe like 7 listeners, an exciting throwback. I will be bringing back some of the past nicknames with the dinner guest theme. And I'm proud to announce that Anthony Black is the dinner guest who brings edibles this year.
Wow, that's a big honor for him.
I know. We'll have to send him a little makeshift trophy because I'd like to see it in the back of his Zoom one day when he becomes a podcaster. So this is the weekly floor raiser. Shout out 2023 Punch Bob Portis, who was the initial dinner guy who brings edibles. So just to set the table, Anthony Black gives you that 3 positional eligibility, as Natron's alluded to. He's 47% rostered. He just turned 22. He's in his 3rd season. He was the 6th overall pick out of Arkansas, top 20 recruit in the 2022 class. My question for you, Nate, is he going to outgrow his role in Orlando? There's a bit of a logjam there with Suggs back. I think he could be like a super six-man of the year type for a while. But I think he's just might be a little too talented. He's been the top 50 player the past month. He helps you everywhere. 2.2 triples and 2.4 stocks. And I think he could be a one-and-done glue guy. I think he's a little too good. What do you think? Do you think he's going to outgrow this role as far as, his trajectory as an NBA player?
Yeah, I think, I like that category you just coined, the one-and-done glue guys. Because he does. I mean, it feels like he's moving this way. And I think the Orlando situation is interesting. I haven't given up on them figuring it out the rest of the season, but I could also see them coming to some, as it currently is, this combination of players isn't quite meshing together perfectly. Yes. So I could see some sort of trade happening, whether that's Wagner or Suggs, and opening up a position for him long term, because he does feel like an Orlando guy as far as like his size and defense. That seems to be kind of core Magic principles. So I think he's safe just because, like you said, he's got a high floor the rest of the way. But I think that we're going to see a better version of him next year and a better version of him the year after that.
No, well said. So that's the first reveal, and that's one match. My shooting guard is Anthony Black. So now I got to go to my point guard since you nabbed my shooting guard. And that is 36% rostered. At age 26, this is his 3rd season. He went undrafted in 2022. I watched this player play in the Final Four. Any guess his name? Point guard.
Jamal Shed?
That's a good guess. I did watch him play in the Final Four. Colin Gillespie.
Colin Gillespie. Yes. Yeah. Great inclusion here. So
shout out to Caden, who we've worked with on college scouting in the past. Assumed he was the next great white, which is a phrase he coined, which is usually a 4-year college, Caucasian American-born player who is fantastic in college and just doesn't translate to the NBA. But he's proven everyone wrong this year. It's been awesome to watch this dude. He is gutsy. Anthony Edwards took note after they played the Suns. He was like, number 12, he's just good, man. So he's been trending down a little bit. His splits with Grayson Allen on off the floor are pretty stark. He loses about 7 points a game when Grayson's playing. Yeah, so that's a sizable chunk of points. He gets 1.4 more dimes with Grayson Allen off the court, and he gets another steal, so it's just kind of a usage thing there. But, he's becoming like the trickle of stats guy, like you mentioned. So we are going to give Colin Gillespie, formerly KCP's moniker in 2023, a tall glass of cold milk with dinner glue guy for Colin Gillespie. Congratulations, Colin.
Just boring, but it's got everything you need, and it fills you up, and it's a fine choice.
And it leaves you a little mustache. Which is
this is a good pick. I mean, especially because Phoenix is, for as good as they've been really kind of bit by the injury bug too. Yeah. And so there's been kind of usage all over the place to kind of absorb at all points during the season. And he seems to mesh with whatever lineup pretty well too.
Yes, exactly. That makes a glue guy too, is if you get spikes when somebody's out, but when everybody's back, there's still a hold. That's a classic glue guy criteria.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I like this. I like Gillespie in there for sure. So my next guy, and you might have him on your list as well, and I will feel bad if I take 2 of your guys back to back.
Please don't.
But that's Jalen Tyson.
Proceed.
Is that an affirmative on your list?
I'm not.
But it's kind of interesting. So he's the number 3rd player in fantasy this season, and so it's interesting because he's a young guy with very little fanfare around him for being a first-round pick in his 2nd year. It doesn't have quite the hype train that a lot of other young guys would have or do have. And what's been surprising with him is this is his first time in 6 years that he's had the same coach for 2 years in a row. So he's started his college career at Texas, then he switched to Texas Tech, left the team after some racist remarks from the coach, and he committed to Cal. But the NCAA initially declined his eligibility waiver. So the season started, but then they, upon review, allowed him to kind of come in, and he finished his career at Cal, got drafted in the first round at Cleveland, played 10 minutes a night. But now this year, Jalen Tyson is playing 28 minutes a night. And it's just basically been their fill-in starter. I mean,
Yes.
the Cavs have been hit by the injury bug pretty consistently and all over the place. And so he's kind of been their sixth starter in a sense. In fact, he's started 65% of their games this season.
I'm glad that you have him on your list here, Nate, because you've always been interested in Cleveland finding that wing with this current roster. And it looks like with the 20th overall pick in 2024 that they found that long-coveted wing. Recently named to the Rising Stars team. So 2 honors in 1 week. That's a lot. Glue Guys Rising Stars team for Jalen Tyson.
Not all honors are equal, but I'm sure he's happy to play in that game too.
I hope he still plays.
Yeah.
This might be named to Glue Guy. That's a great one.
Yeah. But the nice thing about him, is he's got great size for he's probably shooting guard is kind of where his natural position, but he's 6'6", and so he's kind of given him the ability to, if one of the small guys have been out of the lineup, like the Darius Garlands, Max Struess's, Dean Wade's, you're the guy you coined with, I think, the greatest nickname I still have heard on this podcast history, which is Sam Merrill Peril. I think it's the greatest nickname I've heard.
I
to
only
date.
said it once, and you've used it so many times that I forgot that I coined it.
But even with it, he's in 2 with 1.5 stocks, 2 threes, good field goal percentage. Just a really safe player who, in a safe role, that happens to be 23 years old and has some pop potential, really.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the lines he's putting up right now, and you currently have Mobley out for 1 to 3 weeks with another calf. The calf bug has bitten the NBA.
Jeez.
Speaking of the injury bug, I did want to let our listeners know and let you know as well that if you Google Projecting the Jump Fantasy Basketball Podcast and you hit AI mode on Google, it'll tell you about some of our core coverage and reoccurring segments. And that includes, according to Google's AI, the Medical Corner, hosted by Nathan Litke. This segment analyzes injury trends, such as the increase in abductor injuries, to provide a medical perspective on player availability. So look no further than Medical Corner, hosted by your own Natron clan.
Well, that's great. I did, when you said that, I did happen to click on it, and you said to stop scrolling, but I did. But before I did, I saw that according to Google AI, they have us ranked as the 9th best fantasy basketball podcast, which was pretty cool to see.
And that's tough because it's only out of 8.
But we're the glue podcast, really.
Yes, we are. So shout out. It's that wasn't bad. I enjoyed that. And at one point, if you're a longtime listener, you might be aware of Flyin J's spinoff business pod. Which hasn't really gotten off the ground, but it's the concept of a podcast. And at one point, the AI had picked that up.
I did have a friend come to me like after a while. He's like, "So does he really have a business podcast? And what is it? Like, why don't you say what it is?"
Can't you squeeze that in? Like we're aware of the landing page on SteelBridge, but we don't know anything more about this podcast. Like, come on, mix it up here. So I'm going to get into my small forward. Before I do, Nate, I want to mention, if you name a player who is on my reserves team, I'm not going to reveal if they're on there, but if you name a player that's one of my starters, I will reveal, and we'll just kind of double dip there.
Okay, I'll try not to steal any more of your guys going forward. I think I'm done at this point. Those are the only 2.
Stability. Okay, I'm excited about this one. My small forward, Natron Clean, lock in, see if you can get this. He is a small forward, power forward, 47% roster, which is a number that is coming up a lot on the Glue Guys list. Age 26 season, it's his 6th NBA season. He was the 28th overall selection to the LA Lakers. The pride of Federal Way, Washington, a former Washington Husky, was 7th in the 2019 recruiting class for ESPN and Rivals. Any guesses?
Wow. I'm drawing a blank. I don't know.
He had a brother that played in the NBA. His last played for the Washington Wizards.
Played for the Washington Wizards. Boy, I'm failing at this one.
It can be hard to get these on the spot. This is Jalen McDaniels. This is Jaden McDaniels.
Okay, yes.
Jalen was the brother. This is Jaden McDaniels. He's had a few bad lines of late, which he used to have more last season, but those have been few and far between. It's been a banner year. This is the first time, in my opinion, he's never left the roster he ended up on in the beginning. You come for the stocks and the threes, but he's doing a bit more of everything this year. He's averaging a career best in points, a career best in dimes, and I think that makes him this year's green beans with benefits glue guy. Shout out 2023 Cam Johnson, somebody who, it's not that exciting, but then when it gets on your plate, you're like, wow, it's a little better than I was expecting. It's jazzed up with some, with some roasted almonds, slivered, just nice. So getting a little more than you came for this season with Minnesota Timberwolf Jaden McDaniels. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I like that comp with Cam Johnson. I feel like every year there's one kind of these glue guy type guys that for whatever reason the national media kind of like globs onto and they become a little bit overvalued. Like Mikal Bridges got this a few years ago. Cam Johnson back in the day, Rob Covington would get this, and it seems like he's now the next guy where it's the public has caught up to his actual value.
That's a great point, Nate. I got to jump on this because we said in the beginning, I did, that a glue guy is usually somebody that you can't get fair value for. I think that's different with McDaniels. I think in trade negotiations,
Agreed.
you can get value, which makes him a great comparison to Bob Covington. A shout out, one of the best glue guys of all time. Before this pod even was established, he would have been on the glue guys team for many years. But he became the guy known as the guy you wanted for block steals and threes, and he was overvalued for a number of years. And it could be the McDaniels is heading that way. That's a good point.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, he
Deserves it.
fits all the profile of what you're doing there. Yeah.
Well, that would be our green beans with benefits glue guy. It's making me a little hungry, so I'll be right back. No, I'm just kidding, Nate. Kicking it to you. Who do you got next?
So my next glue guy it's kind of a weird addition to this because the numbers for this one they actually haven't changed over the last 4 years. So it's the only glue guy that has remained completely steady over this period of time.
Can I try to guess this? So this is the fourth year, you say?
Well, for the last 4 years, the numbers have been the same.
Okay. Any chance that he's only played for 4 years?
Okay, so I'm gonna plow right ahead here.
Okay.
Because there really is only one stat when it comes to this glue guy, and that's price. And this glue guy is Steelbridge Coffee.
I knew it.
Which the price has not changed in 4 years. If for our listeners only, so if you go to steelbridgecoffee.com /PTJ, the price only for PTJ listeners has remained steady. The rest of the prices have increased, so you're getting a great deal there. So make this a glue guy for your morning. You can get fair trade, premium coffee delivered to your door. You get 4 pounds of it, free delivery with a vintage NBA card. So once again, head over to steelbridgecoffee.com /PTJ.
Great read. Head over there now. Once you get to the landing page, cruise through the cards. Let us know which ones you're seeing. Let us know if there's any cards that you would like to see. I hadn't thought about how maybe we could contribute to the cards. I got some more cards. That
for
could be
sure.
fun. Maybe if you're looking for a Bol rookie card, we could press
I was
that
about
one.
to say a Bol
I got plenty of those. All right, so I'm hoping. I thought for a second you were going to lead into Yang Hansen, and I was like, I'm rejecting him off the
2% rostered, I saw.
list. All right, who you got next?
So next guy I have up is somebody that we talked about last year. I brought him up in a bit of a hot take that we had a clash over. It wasn't for glue guys, but we had a little bit of a back and forth on this guy, and I thought it was interesting because so the guy I'm bringing up is Julian Champagny.
Bubbles.
And we had a kind of a fun back and forth on Julian Champagny versus Devin Fizzell last year, and it was as I'm looking at their total rankings for the season or per game rankings. Fizzell's 112, Champagny's 111. They're
That's
literally
wild.
the same ranking, which is amazing. Now, like a year into it, it's just been a tie on this little bit of a battle.
Is that season long or for averages?
Per game. That was per game.
Per game. Got it.
Season long, Penny's at 66.
Right,
Because
he's
he's played
more.
every game.
Yeah.
Julian Champagny, he's kind of an interesting guy because he was both him and his twin brother Justin, who plays for DC. They both left college early. Julian left St. John's in 22. Justin left Pittsburgh in 2021. And both went undrafted, which is kind of one of these things that I don't think would happen today because of NIL. I mean, like you wouldn't leave if you thought you were a mid to late second round pick. You would just stay because you were going to get a bigger contract at your
greatest. That's one of the greatest benefits as far as the NBA talent pool that we have is you don't have all these guys coming out and just, overvaluing their stock and being the 55th overall pick. People have a little more information as far as prospects making their decisions.
Yes, you're right. And then when they're hitting the NBA, they're a little bit more prepared, and there's the quality of play in the NBA, I think, is benefiting from that. It's been a strange trickle down.
No, agreed.
But he got he got signed by the 76ers on a two-way contract before they waived him. Whoops. And now he's on outside of Denny Advia. He's perhaps one of the best contracts in the league on a 4-year, $12 million deal for San Antonio.
That's stealing.
Yeah, that's filthy.
He signed the contract.
I know. Yeah. It's great for them.
It's similar to the Jose Alvarado contract. He just kind of wanted to lock in the money as soon as he could make some.
Right. Yeah. Which that one is not terrible.
Right.
At the time, it felt like a deal, but so for what he's given you this season, so over the last month, he's the number 44th ranked player in fantasy, and a lot of that is just because he's turned into a really high volume 3-point shooter. He's shooting over 8 attempts per game from distance and hitting him at a 38% clip. So, I mean, do you think that there might be some regression coming? Maybe. I think that's probably fair to kind of bake in there.
There's a lot of mouths to feed right now. My boy Devin Vassell just can't even really get a role as he comes back from injury here.
For sure. And Harrison Barnes is on a really cold streak right now. Right. So there's some unglue guy-ish things with him. I mean, he's only giving you 1 stock and 2 assists that, so which are a little concerning if that 3-point shooting goes down. But I think that, his role is locked in. And he's a young 6'8" shooter. So I think that, I like guys with kind of locked-in roles. And I think his role is really safe. And so I think for that reason, I have him on my glue guy list. What do you think about Champagny?
He's kind of a lunch pail and, thermos addition to this list. He's not flashy. And I would say, for me, I would have him just on the outside. It has me questioning some of the players on my list and wondering if they're a little too talented. But the ranking is there, the role is there. I just wish we got more out of the stocks category from him.
For sure.
The percentages are nice. How is he from free throw, actually?
83% on the season.
Yeah, okay. So the percentage, he doesn't hurt you anywhere, and you totally can hold him. He is a player for me, though, if I'm really looking to make a pickup or I want to stream a spot. I think compared to the 12 players I'm going to mention, I probably would cut him first. But I think I might have a bit of a bias against him.
Well, that's fair. And I think a little bit is I'm projecting the rest of his season as a glue guy rather than what he's done to date a little bit. I think
I have one like that. Okay, that's helpful. Okay, so you're projecting that this player will be a season-long hold, and you're saying you're making a recommendation to not drop Champagny.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that. Okay, thanks for the context. I think you're going to like this next one. I think this is going to be fun for you. This is the ice cream before dinner glue guy here. This is the weekly ceiling razor. So shout out 2023 PJ Washington. This player is Najee Marshall, baby.
He's on my list.
Let's go. Okay. He has to be. He has to be. And he's flirting with glue guy's MVP for me. There's a battle for that spot right now.
Wow.
So just to run through some of the numbers, you get the small forward, power forward eligibility. He was 41% rostered as of about a day ago. He's 28. He's 28 years old. It's his 6th season. He went undrafted out of Xavier, which I had forgotten. I think he epitomizes what it means to be a glue guy. He is just rock solid, top 100 the past month, top 50 the past 2 weeks. I think it probably settles somewhere in the middle as PJ's gotten back. I think top 75 is a realistic expectations. But he's even better in points leagues because his triples and his blocks and steals are kind of lacking. But the 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 dimes raises your ceiling weekly for somebody that you added for nothing. So, I don't think he gets dropped again. I think you got yourself waiver wire of the year candidate. And this is your ice cream before dinner glue guy, Mr. Najee Marshall.
Before dinner, I love it. Yeah, it's you hit most of the things I was gonna say about him. I just remember when he was at Xavier, he had a little bit of like a "don't f with me" energy. He seemed like and I think that's played out in the NBA too. It's kind of shocking that he went undrafted.
It's weird.
I saw that as well. He was first team All Big East player, and he averaged 17, 6, and 4.
I remember watching him in college. I thought he looked like an NBA player. Yeah.
He was great. I don't know how with that size he didn't get that. That's just a miss, I think. Or some overthinking. But you're right. I mean, he's having the breakout season now. He's setting career highs in points, rebounds, steals, field goal percentage, and as you alluded to with the rankings, I mean, he's getting better as the season's gone on. I mean, his last month ranking is better than the season ranking. His last 2 weeks is better than his month. I mean, it's just kind of moving up. And I think with the Mavericks situation with Anthony Davis on the shelf for the rest of the season, he's got an open runway to kind of just cook.
Has it been announced he's out for the year, or we're just kind of assuming
No.
AD?
I'm just assuming,
It feels that way. I think it's okay to proceed when deciding on players to cut, as if AD doesn't come back until he does, and we see what happens then if he ever does.
Yeah, I think if he's on your roster, you should cut him.
Damn.
I mean, maybe he comes back and he's going to come back in mid-playoffs, but I wouldn't be holding him.
I do want to mention, just a shout out to us, the PTJ effect, because days after we recorded and we both advised Trae Young owners to move on. In fact, in our league of record, our Trae Young owner did move on. And he was snatched up for $20 by the new Yoder.
Oh, I missed that. I didn't even see that pickup. That was
your boy KY, somebody I've never met, heard, talk, or seen.
Great guy.
But nice addition. Look forward to meeting you one day. We snagged him, so we'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, he's a hard guy to like just not. But again, when you don't have a traditional IL spot, you got to use those IL pluses to boost your weekly roster, in my opinion. So we're not here to talk about Trae Young. We're just not.
Yeah. What? How many starters do you have left at this point?
I have a starter and a 6-man.
Okay. Well, why don't you roll into another guy then, and then next I only have one guy left then.
Okay, that sounds good, Nate. So I'm excited about this one. This is kind of a quirky one. The fact that this is the all the glue guys starter at center excites me. I think you're going to get this one, Nate. 42% rostered. It's his third season. He's 25. The 52nd pick to Phoenix, traded to Portland. He was the throw-in piece in the Dame trade. He is small forward, power forward, center eligible. Yeah, Tumani Kamara.
Kamara's center eligibility?
Yes, dude. I know.
I did not know that. That seems
I know.
suspect.
Well, he profiles as a small ball center, but Portland certainly doesn't play him there.
Yeah. They often have him guarding the best wing player more often than the big guy.
Tumani Kamara on Yahoo is small forward, power forward, center eligible, which I had a tough cut at center. And Kamara made it because I want everyone to know Tumani Kamara is center eligible.
That's bonkers. I appreciate you bringing that up because I had no idea.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, I'm glad you were surprised because I was like, did I miss that pre-draft? If we went on the list of the, you can search what positions have been added to each player throughout the season. I would venture to guess Kamara had center added at some point this year. I'm not sure how. That's neither here nor there because they can't take it for the rest of the year it exists. Yeah, I think you could argue he was probably the most valuable player currently that was in the Dame trade. He's on a beautiful contract. I love that contract. Yeah. Averages about $20 million a year through 29-30. But yeah, man, I really like this. Given him, and I'm sure you've been wondering, Jamie, who's the unlimited breadsticks with your pasta glue guy this year? Well, it is Tumani Kamara. Shout out Maximum Derek White. Derek White was the very first unlimited breadsticks with your pasta glue guy. Tumani Kamara, congratulations. Yeah, that triple positional boost puts it over the top. His career highs, Nate, are in points. Career highs in threes and in dimes. So, yeah, again, he's one of these players I do think is properly valued, meaning if you wanted to shop Kamara, I think you could get value. If you I'd like to acquire him. So yeah, he kind of elevates above the list a little bit in that way, that name cachet. But yeah, what do you think of his inclusion on the list?
Oh, I think it's terrific. I'm glad that you did it. I felt guilty not doing it personally, but in all ways he embodies this. I mean, I think he gives you a little bit of everything, and frankly, I'm hopeful that he's going to be better the second half of the season than he was the first half of the season because he's been asked to do so much scoring facilitation, which is not in his wheelhouse. He's very much just like a 3-and-D player, and I think now having some point guards kind of coming back and creating some easier shots for him, I'm hopeful that his field goal percentage is going to go up, his 3 points are going to go up. So I think he's a fine guy if to target in a trade because I think that he's should be a little bit better the rest of the season than he's even been so far to date.
Portland's going to push for the play-in, right?
Yeah. I think they're pushing for the play-offs even. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens to the trade deadline, but I think that's the expectations among fans. And frankly, at this point, the West is kind of broken in a way that it looks like it'd be a surprise if they didn't make the play-in. I'll say that.
I want to see him there, so we'll keep an eye on that. A quick aside here for the listener. Give me some feedback on the Switch this year. In the past, I've read off the stats for every player. 14.2 points, 3.6 rebounds, 2.4 assists, blah, blah, blah. And this year I chose to just give you some interesting nugs. Because you can pull up your app and see the stats for yourself. Anyone listening to this podcast is aware of the general stat profile of a Tumani Kamara. If they want to be, it takes 5 seconds. So I think just it makes the content more interesting, in my opinion, if we stick to the stuff that matters and not read off every stat for every player. Nate, what do you think of that change?
Yeah, I'm curious to hear from listeners too on that. I feel like we've made an effort to read less numbers, yes. But hopefully we're not kind of losing some context on them as well.
Exactly. So in the comments, however you consume the podcast, give us some feedback on that. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna roll to the 6 man because I know you got one guy left, and I want to talk about this man with you.
Yeah.
We have our only 30-year-old glue guy of the year, and I believe he might be the first 30-year-old glue guy in the history of glue guys. It's his ninth season. It's his 9th season. He's having a career year. The 45th pick in 2017. To Houston via Oregon. Quack, quack, indeed.
This
2017, Oregon.
It's Brooks?
This is the 6th man. Yes, it's Villain Brooks.
Yeah.
And I almost bumped Najee Marshall and replaced...
He got drafted by Houston?
He did. I know. I totally forget. Yeah. I had to look that up.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just thought he got drafted by Memphis.
He got drafted by Houston.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so... we're going to call him the all meat, no sides glue guy, but we'll see. His scoring stats obviously have been great, averaging just under 21 points, but that was before the explosions he had against Detroit and, was it Cleveland tonight? Yeah. And they won both those games going away without Devin Booker. And your boy, and let's be honest to the listener, I'm not going to gaslight the listener. Everybody knows I've been reluctant on this player. Everyone knows he kind of gets under my skin, but I've had him on my roster. I dropped him during a little spell, gave Natron clean over a week to pick him up. I swooped the man back up, get the 40-point game, get the 27-point game, and he's given you a trickle of stats. He's getting in those games. He's had, it's not been completely empty. There's been mashed potatoes with no butter. You could put them in the nuker. They're not warm, but there's a side. There's a side with the points. Yeah. Villain Brooks, that is my 6th man on this year's Glue Guys squad. Nate, go ahead and lay into me, call me a flip-flopper, whatever you want to do, but also express your feelings. How has it been feeling to see him on my roster? Are you at peace with this?
Oh, I'm loving it.
Cool.
I absolutely love welcome to the bandwagon on this. US last podcast what the WP stands for on his tattoos. It's Wolfpack. So welcome to the Wolfpack.
Oh, let's go.
And that's where it's at there. And it's funny because in a lot of ways, his stat profile is not a glue guy in that he's giving you scoring at threes.
Let's talk about it.
Like you said, not a ton of other things.
Right.
But in the other category of just guys that are in and out of lineups, but are way too valuable.
Right.
They're better than people perceive them to be. He 100% embodies this, and if you're comfortable riding out a couple bad games, you're rewarded with fantastic averages across the board. Yeah, I think it's great. I've been loving seeing you embrace Dillon Brooks this season.
It's reluctant, and I did drop Zach LaVine, so if that's helpful to anybody.
That was shocking.
Because Dillon Brooks is giving you the production you hoped for from Zach LaVine, and he's giving it to you now. Yeah. And so that felt like the stat profile is similar enough that I was like, give me the production. And I was rewarded with 2 of his best games of the season. We have to stick on Dillon Brooks just for a minute. I just wanted to know during that period
the rest of the podcast.
We'll just talk about Dillon Brooks. So just personally, when I did drop him and you had that window to pick him up, what happened there? Was it roster based?
Well, no, I was in a tight matchup against the first Nathan Yoder was in the first place in our league.
I'm in second. I'm right behind him. I'll be first soon.
Yeah, I'm third. So
he's third. So we're chill. Yeah, we're nice.
But yeah, I was in a tight matchup against him, and I needed all of the moves that I had for the week, and so I didn't feel like I could spend it just because the game was played. I was trying to maximize that, and then I went through that weird stretch, which is I feel like this is complaining about getting too big of your yacht's too big or something like that. But then right after that, I had all of my injured players get healthy. Yes. So I had to just drop multiple guys, and so I was
Yes.
unable to stream, and so which was kind
Thank
of
you.
which was it's this weird thing where like you spend all season wanting your guys to get healthy,
Right.
and the moment that everybody was healthy, and this only
Right.
lasted 3 days, but I was like, I really want to stream in guys, but I kind of need somebody to get injured.
So you lost your flexibility during that 5-day period where Dylan Brooks was on the waiver wire and off my team.
Yes, yeah.
That's interesting. That happens sometimes where you have a few tags, you have a few injury tags, short term, and you go through for a week or 2 weeks and you configure your lineup to where when those guys activate, you can play those guys. Did you hit a pocket where, I have this guy and I'd have to drop multiple guys because I already jiggered my lineup before everyone activated?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, to do this, I had to drop 2 guys. I'll actually lose 3 or 4 games by picking up this one guy.
Can't do it.
It's a weird spot to be in. It's a really weird spot. So,
it's a blessing and a curse, the flexibility of IL.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so we'll move on from Dylan Brooks for now. And you know what? I'm going to call you Dylan Brooks for the rest of the season. You've earned it. You've earned it, man.
Yeah, man, he's graduated. I was listening to the RotoWire podcast today, and they were saying, like, doesn't he feel like he should be in Detroit?
I know. I agree.
It feels like he's a Piston waiting to happen at some point.
Look what's happened in Phoenix this year. Like, the pace they're playing with, the tenacity. Like, they haven't missed a beat without Booker. It's been incredible.
It's amazing. You sub Durant for Dylan Brooks, and
look what
he's such a great culture builder.
Man, yeah, I love it. It's a team of glue guys, by the way. The Phoenix Suns are the all glue guy squad.
For sure.
Yeah.
So my last guy on my list is going to be the most boring of all of them.
More than Justin Champagne, huh?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So this guy,
I think so. Yeah.
He's going to be a repeat glue guy for me. He's the only guy on my list I ever is a repeat. So Beautiful. I'm curious to see if you'll get here. I kind of think of him as a pretty classic glue guy. This season, he's averaging 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists.
How are those stocks looking?
I mean, I can see you grabbing your phone.
I'm not. I won't.
And going to add him right now. Like I know as soon as I list this, you're going to be just dying to do this. Yet despite those paltry numbers I just said, he's the number 72 ranked player in fantasy.
Repeat guy.
And that is staying with the Phoenix Suns.
Oh my God, there's been so many Phoenix Suns on this
going
list.
Going back to the Phoenix Suns, as you just said.
Oh, it's Royce O'Neal.
The Royce O'Neal.
Yeah, I gave him a look, Litke. I did, but he didn't quite make my list. But I certainly give him a hard look.
Yeah, it's I mean, I feel like I had to include him on this list because he's been here in years past, and now this 3-and-D player at age 32 is averaging a career high in both threes and steals. The two things are his calling card. They're having the best of a season, and in fact, he is the 13th most 3-pointers made in the NBA this season.
He's kind of epitomized this Suns turnaround. I mean, Brooks is the face of it, but Royce he's just such a savvy vet. For fantasy, I will say, Nate, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I just don't love the field goal percentage. I don't love it. It can be a little bit to swallow, and he's not shooting at a particularly high volume, but he's often in the about 35% from the field. That's kind of what you can expect.
For sure, yeah. And I think and really what that is that 82% of his shots are 3-pointers this season.
Right.
4 out of 5 shots are shooting threes. He found the thing. Like he's like, oh, I'm a 3-and-D guy. I guess I'm only a 3 and a D guy. But the thing that's kind of been working for him, and the reason that his rankings are here, is that, and maybe it's just because of the spacing that this team allows with Gillespie and Allen, and everybody on the team can shoot, really. But he's hitting threes at this great rate to this point. So will he go through some sort of slump, perhaps, where these threes don't go down and then he's not providing other stuff?
Yeah, right.
Yep, I mean, he probably will. I think that's probably realistic, that if the threes dry up, what he's bringing to you dries up. But I think that the reason I have him on this glue guy list is because when he's going to go through a week like that, and I think that you should hold him because throughout his career, he's been a really durable guy. He plays in almost every single game.
Yeah, he plays back-to-backs. Yeah.
Yes, right. He's always in your lineup. His minutes played are going to be very high all the time. And right now, the Suns are kind of going through this thing where they need bodies. And so I think that his floor is so high. He's so boring, but he's really, I mean, he's the number 72 ranked player. So he's providing good value for you. And it's one of those things, like you said in the intro, you couldn't trade him for a half bag of Skittles. But he's going to be the type of guy that just really quietly helps you win weeks.
And a sneaky bonus on Royce O'Neal is he's the only player in the NBA who looks like Sonic's great Reggie Evans, a rebounding machine. Do you remember mid-aughts Reggie Evans? He kind of had like a country look about him.
Big ears.
Yes, he did, yeah. Which is nice. I like Royce O'Neal on this list. And it got me to thinking, if you wanted to add a category that I'd never heard of in a league, and I'm sure it's out there, that could balance out volume and efficiency well, it would be 3-point percentage. I think that could be an interesting category to add to a league. It just, if you shoot 38% from three, it should count for a little bit more. So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting wrinkle just to get those guys who shoot the high percentage for that to matter for a whole category.
Yeah, you and I used to be in an 11 category league.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be fun sometimes just to play around and just do a 17 category league or something. Just kind of like see how wacky it is and see what's up matters.
The one I've never loved is double doubles because they're so arbitrary, but
yes,
it's still fun to kind of chase them, I guess. But you get those 10, and you get the Ennis Cantor, going in 30th overall pick and stuff like that.
Yeah, it feels a little like DraftKings-y, like throw a buck here or there.
DraftKings-y. Yep, exactly. Okay, well those were my starters and my six man. So we're going to weave through the reserves. I'm going to ask for Natron's thoughts on these players. And, man, I really like this list a lot. There's just a lot of good guys this year. The first reserve for me is Jabari Smith Jr. Yeah. You get that triple eligibility, Nate. You get the small forward, power forward, center. He's 22 years old in his fourth season.
He's only 22.
He's only 22, man. Yeah. Yeah, so he is still incredibly young. A reminder, he's probably the highest pedigree player on this list. Everybody thought he was going to go number 1 to Orlando. Last second, they pivoted to Paolo Banchero, which turned out to be a pretty solid move. But yeah, he might be the highest pedigree glue guy of all times. A lot of time you have these second-round picks, these guys who went undrafted. Here we have a guy who almost went first, and he plays a glue guy role for Houston. But I like the change in his game this year. You're getting a little bit more of what you were hoping to get. The stocks have been a little bit, blocks have been a little bit higher.
Last game was terrific. What he had what, 5 blocks and 4 steals or something crazy?
And I'd already written him down before that. Yeah, no, that's a good shout out. So he's flashing more of that upside. I still really like him in Dynasty quite a bit. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Jabari.
Yeah, for sure. You're right. And as you mentioned, he's kind of settled into this role, which is like a D role, and has embraced it. And that team really needs that shooting that he's providing. Right. And so he's incredibly valuable to what Houston's doing.
Oh, yeah. Especially with Steven Adams out for the season.
Yeah.
Which was just announced. Okay, time to get honest with you. Jalen Tyson is one of my glue guy reserves here. It was kind of all said, so we don't have to spend a lot of time on him, but it was pretty cool. And I just kind of forgot that he was the 20th overall pick. The Hornets
really quiet.
Yeah.
In a poor draft too. I mean, that was the draft where there's been 5 starters out of the entire draft at this point.
Yeah, huge hit.
I mean, kudos to the Cavs. They kind of, especially with trading all their picks to Utah, they don't have a lot of ammunition to kind of refill and bring in young guys and new talent. They needed to hit on those type of things, and they hit a home run when it came to that.
Yeah, and they hit a single, maybe double with Craig Porter Jr. I kind of like him too. As a bench guy. Speaking of Yang Hansen, making the glue guys list as a rookie, it was the 11th overall pick to to Portland, my bad, obviously. He was then traded for Yang Hansen and future draft considerations. Well, I hope they consider something nice for the Blazers. This is, of course,
Cedric Coward.
Yes. I'm no coward because I included Cedric on my list.
I had him on my short list and had him as a last second omission just because he's been a season long hold, like shockingly, which has been a real surprise. Like I kind of was expecting to see him hit the waiver more often than he had, but people have held on to him.
Yes, they have. Oh, and what makes it interesting is the contrast, because Memphis is full of these players who you can't figure out what to do with. Jalen Wells and G.G. Jackson, and now Scottie Pippen Jr. is back, and the other point guard they like to call Milk, Jerome. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they were completely loaded with with a glutton of wings. But I think Coward's proven to be a season-long hold. For me, that's a glue guy. Somebody who, despite inconsistency around him and players with similar talent profiles, has found a way to be the guy that you're like, no, this is a season-long hold. That's a glue guy for me.
For sure. And I think he's been more consistent than, I think, kind of my concern always with rookies, and I feel like it's been a theme of this rookie class in general, is like, normally rookies, you swallow the bad weeks because you get these great peak games, like, peak weeks, but he's been relatively consistent in what he's been giving you. He's actually been, it reminds you a lot of like this, of a 7th-year vet, as far as like just kind of knowing his role, giving you something really consistent. And maybe that's the Salem, Oregon in him. I mean, he played basketball in Salem, Oregon.
Good call. Yeah.
Just 2 miles from my house at Willamette University, and maybe
nice.
I'm not gonna say that's the reason, but I guess I just did.
Good shout out, man. Yeah, next time he goes to the local YMCA or something, maybe we should go over there and see if we can get him on the pod.
Yeah, hopefully I see him in the bowling league at some point.
Shout out to the bowling league. Shout out to Magoo's, one of the best dive bars in the Northwest, and formerly one of the best bowling teams of guys in their 30s and 40s in the Northwest, but it sounds like they had a rough patch last night.
Had a rough game. Yeah, we're having a tough title defense this season so far, but it's a long season. What's that?
Back-to-back title defense, am I right?
Two out of 3 in the last
2 out of 3.
Yeah, we took a gap here, but had a rough game this last one, but we'll bounce back.
Okay, well the people will wait for an update, obviously, on the bowling league there. So we'll keep it rolling. I got more unsung heroes here. This is going to be the first Portuguese glue guy ever, because he is the first Portuguese-born player to be drafted into the NBA. He was the 39th overall pick to Sacramento. He is in his 5th NBA season, and he's 26. In his first season, he only played 5 games. So he's really gotten rolling this year. And who are we talking about, Nate?
Oh my gosh.
Boston Celtics power forward center.
Keita?
Yes, name is Keita. Yep.
Oh, really? He's Portuguese.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
I didn't know that.
Note. Yeah, so you know his stats if you play fantasy. You know he's like a double threat. The rebounds are consistent, but we're here to let you know that he's the first Portuguese-born player in the NBA.
That's amazing. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, so you can use that to your liking. But he's been impressive. He was one of these players that after our auction, I had a couple players to slip into IL Plus, and I picked him up. And I moved on, and I'm fine with that when I look at my roster. But he's been a season-long hold. He's consistent. You know what you're going to get out of him. And I love the energy, and Boston being second in the East, and this being perhaps their most consistent traditional big, besides future MVP Luka Garza. Kate has been awesome, and I think he deserves a shout-out and a spot on the Glue Guys reserves.
Could you power rank these 3 guys? Keita, Wendell Carter, Mark Williams.
For Glue Guys list? Or for
no, rest of the season hold list.
Yeah, that makes sense. So just fantasy in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a freaking good one. Okay, so I'm going to give them categories. Weekly or game-to-game upside, it's easily Mark Williams. If there's anyone that you told me had, 22 points, 17 rebounds, and 5 blocks with 4 dimes out of that list, it's Mark Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Consistent floor, kind of knowing what you're getting, it's going to be Keita in Boston. Just because I know that I'm getting, 8 to 12 points, the 8 to 12 rebounds. He's just very consistent there. And then I like Wendell Carter as a combination of the two. He didn't quite make my list. He's flashed a couple of those old school Wendell Carter lines just recently. But at one point, he was my starting center on this team. And then I just kind of bumped him for Kamara when I saw that center eligibility. I got very excited. But yeah, he deserves a shout out. And so for me, man, that's a tough one. It just depends what you want. If you want the weekly upside, Mark Williams. If you want just no frills consistency, I like Keita. And if you want a combination of erraticness but consistent enough to be a season-long hold, then I have Wendell Carter.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like Keita's always been one of those guys I've had trouble placing. So I feel like there's a lot of those good centers that
there are this year, especially.
Occasionally will, like on a Sunday, get dropped, and you have the ability to pick them up. And I have a hard time ranking those guys and kind of knowing what to do with them.
It's hard to know.
Those guys that are averaging 11 and 8 are it's difficult. I feel like rankings don't do a adequate job of kind of capturing that.
I tell you what, Nate, I would give a tiebreaker to the player with forward eligibility at any time. because
Good call.
and so Keita has the power forward
call.
eligibility. Wendell Carter does as well this year, right?
I believe he does. Yes.
Yeah, you have him on your roster
Yes.
right now, right?
Yeah.
And then we know Mark Williams is center only because I find in my on my roster I run into this problem pretty quickly because I have Saul and I have Sar, I have Jalen Duren, I have Clayton Kong, Donovan Clingan, and another center. I believe another center only player. So when I picked up Valanciunas the other day, because I wanted to grab him before his injury tag went away and I configured my lineup, by the second game he played, I couldn't even play him. So I dropped him and picked up the next player on this list, Tari Eason.
Ooh, what a segue.
That was unplanned. Point is the center only versus having the power forward. I really look for that power forward as a tiebreaker when choosing center streamers that could turn into more.
Yeah. Tari Eason. He's perhaps a little too sexy to be on the glue guy list.
Yeah, he's a sexy name, but he kind of reminds me of who's the player that you projected out will be a glue guy rest of season, but the numbers haven't quite been there. One of your guys you were like, yeah, I think that the rest of the season is going to continue. Yeah. Come on now.
A Champagne.
So Easton's like that for me, especially with Adams out the rest of the season. I think he takes a leap to the back end of your roster because, I mean, yeah, his profile is that of a player who might be too sexy for this list, but his minutes have been kind of sporadic for the most part in Houston, right? Like, the experience has not been sexy all the time. The player is sexy. The profile sexy. The co-host is okay.
No, you're totally right. And by having him, you had to weather. The hard part is that you have to weather so many missed games. You're missing missed weeks. You're weathering injury maintenance games. But then, ironically, the situation has kind of cleared up around him a little bit. I mean, like you said, with the Steven Adams injury, they need him. Game.
Yep.
We went to that. I think I mentioned back, a couple weeks ago, we went to that Houston Rockets game and sat in row 7 or 8 or whatever, and he played almost the entire game. And it was one of those things. What was surprising was their offense looked really reliant on him for the first time that I can remember on hitting threes
to stretch the floor. No, you're right.
Yeah, yep. It felt like they were almost calling plays for him, where I felt like in years past, it's been one of those things where he didn't really have a place outside of like crashing the glass. So they were just like, just get out of the way to give other guys space. And now they're almost, because they don't really have any guards, because they don't have any guards on their team, they need him to be doing some guard stuff. And so they actually are asking him to shoot some threes, which is really only helping his case for fantasy.
Way too much Aaron Holiday for me this year in Houston.
Yes, yeah. Boy, if they don't make a trade at this deadline for just a guard, it doesn't need to be anybody great, just a Tyus Jones.
Any Jones.
Yes, somebody that can handle the ball. A CJ McCollum, that's probably too expensive, but anybody that can just literally dribble the basketball.
I think they could use another guy who can get them a bucket, and I would go get Kobe White.
Yes.
I think he's rumored to be available for the right price. I think you could get Kobe White.
That would be, wow. That'd be a perfect pick for them. They need
another
shooting.
Guy.
They need ball handling.
Yeah.
He's got size, too, and they have the defense ability to kind of hide him a little bit. I think, wow, that's a good one.
You heard it here first. Houston, get on the phone. Figure out a way to pry Kobe White away from Chicago. Speaking of Chicago, my 12th man, the last player to make my list of starters and 7 reserves, is Ayo Dosunmu.
Yeah.
Ayo Dosunmu sneaks in there at about 25% rostered. You get the guard and forward eligibility. And the reason he's a glue guy for me this year is because it's kind of like what we were talking about with Colin Gillespie, and that's that there's been fluctuation throughout Chicago's lineup. Right, guys in, guys out. Ayo Dosunmu becomes supercharged at times when Giddey's out or Kobe White's out, but when everyone's back, he's still kind of a hold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He goes from being a 22-minute-a-night guy to being a 32-minute-a-night guy occasionally. And you're right. And there's so many pathways for him to get up to that 30-minute-a-night guys, which I feel like a lot of times you see like, oh wait, it's going to take an injury to this particular player for this guy to take a leap. And in Dosunmu's case, it's if any one of these 4 guys go down, then he's into the starting lineup or playing 20.
Exactly. And he's an easy guy to kind of forget about. Also, If you don't like the price on Kobe White, I think Tasuna would be fine in Houston. Either one of these guys.
Right.
You ever
Yeah,
go
good call.
through, like, you ever going through, you know, you need a position, right? And you go through everyone's roster in your fantasy league, and you end up with one team, and you're like, this is the only team that I have something they could use, and they have what I need. And Chicago and
Yes.
Houston feel like that. They need to figure something out.
Yeah. Right. And Chicago should be selling.
Right.
Houston should be buying. It feels natural.
So just a nugget on the Bulls. This is a very sad little nugget. Shout out Bulls fans. Hopefully you were alive and conscious in the 90s and you enjoyed the Jordan era. The Chicago Bulls have been in the play-in every year of his existence and lost every year of his existence to the Miami Heat. And none of the games were
true?
particularly close. It's true. I just saw it last night on a graphic, yeah.
Every year to the Heat. That's shocking. There's some teams that would just be sad to root for, and we've all been there through fandom where you have a team that's just unexciting to root for, but you gotta stay the course, and I feel for Chicago Bull fans right now.
And I don't say this
I
lightly.
hope that owner makes a few bucks this year.
Yeah,
I mean,
no doubt.
pray that owner makes a few dollars.
Just the purgatory state of a team can be rough. The Sonics in the early aughts were kind of like that. When Gary Payton was going through those all-star seasons where they were kind of floundering during the Howard Schultz years. And of course, upon reflection, I would love to go 42-40. That sounds great.
Yeah.
That sounds nice. But yeah, so, but it's all relative, and it's been a lot of mediocrity in Chicago. But not a lot of mediocrity on the Glue Guys list.
Yeah. So I have one little micro last segment here, and I don't know if you had one to go with this too, but
You say
I just wanted-
microplastics?
a little bit of microplastics into your brain. But these are complete long shots, but I'm just going to throw some darts at the wall and just kind of take swings as I throw them to you here on potential future Glue Guys next year or the year after.
Ooh, this is fun.
None of these guys had a chance to make this year's list, but I'm just kind of throwing things out there. First one was Jamal Shed.
I knew that was going to be the name you were going to say. I was about to say Jamal Shed, yes.
Yeah, I did mention him earlier, but yeah.
He could be a glue guy if your league's a little bigger than average. In a 14-teamer, he's a glue guy.
Mm-hmm. They really like him in Toronto. I mean, he's short. He can't shoot, which normally means you don't play, but they love playing him, and they're better when he's on the court.
Yeah, he's a smart player. He went to Houston, right? I think he was a part of the Final Four. Yeah, he's a very smart player. I like him.
Next guy I got this is going to take some serious time in the gym and some better shooting. That's Spencer Jones of the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, he has the profile. Yeah, I could see him. That's an interesting one. That's a nice long shot to file away that then we can clip and brag later. That's a nice call.
Yeah, I love when you watch him on defense. He looks amazing. He moves so fluidly. He looks amazing, and then you watch his shot, and I think it's worse than Ron Holland's. I think it's the worst shot in the NBA. It does this weird, crazy hitch in it. So if he can get a shot fix, then maybe.
I think for me, my shout out for a potential glue guy down the road is Deron Holmes, who's also on Denver. Deron Holmes the second.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah.
I had to say the second. That clears it up. Yeah.
Took me a second there. He used to play for the Nets, right?
No, I don't. Maybe.
Oh,
I think he's a rookie. He's a rookie.
Oh, okay. Oh, he is. Okay.
I know you're thinking. There's Dayron Sharp, and then there's Deron Holmes.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
I was able to decode your brain there. No, this is a guy that
Thanks.
I was only made aware of during their glutton of injuries, and he's just got a real athletic profile. So the name Dayron Holmes II, just file it away because I think he has a real nice profile. And then Julian Strother, just stay in Denver. I mean, they do have some interesting buried young players.
They do, yeah. And they all, especially when you play with Jokic, you have such an ability for future starism, or at least fantasy relevance, because if you can just be competent and hit open shots, you're going to be just fed all kinds of stuff. So I think monitoring guys in Denver, especially because Denver has such a limited pathway to add new talent, that these guys in the roster, they really have a lot of chance for internal development.
Yeah, and look no further than how your boy Christian Brown looked without Jokic.
Yes, yeah. He was pretty putrid.
I find it necessary to come full circle on this young man. Dayron Holmes II, he played at Dayton. He was a first-round pick in 2024 to the Suns. And so he's kind of floated around. He was All Atlantic 10. He was Atlantic 10 Co-Player of the Year in 2024. So this guy has a little bit of pedigree. He's a 6'9", really athletic. He's more of a power forward than anything. But Dayron Holmes II. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay. Next guy I got on my list here is Naquan Tomlin on Cleveland. He's, he plays that kind of backup big situation. Young guy. When I've watched him, he's moves really fluidly. I think and it wouldn't be a shock to see if something doesn't happen with Cleveland this season, to see them move one of those big guys and kind of go with a younger core. And he's been providing a nice base level. He's looked really competent for them.
Competency is key. If you're ever going to become a glue guy, you have to start with competency.
Right. Yeah. You have to be a better on-court player than fantasy, almost more than anything.
Facts.
The last couple guys I got are Muhammad Gay in Atlanta. He's got pop. That guy he's a pogo stick. I don't know if he's he's got a long way to come as far as like translating that towards the basketball court, but as far as like his raw abilities, it's really good.
Yeah, totally. He reminds me a bit of a throwback to the early aughts. The Junkyard Dog played for the Pistons. Jerome something or other. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
the Junkyard Dog.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm not gonna get there.
Jerome Williams.
Okay, thank you.
Jerome Williams, He kind of had like a bit of a gap tooth. He's a wild-looking dude. But yeah, Junkyard Dog. He has a little bit of him in his game.
Yeah, especially if they make some trades, especially with Porzingis and whatnot. The last couple guys I got are, I don't know how many Nets games you've watched in the last couple weeks, but Traore, their first-round pick,
4.5 quarters,
is Traore. He's looking decent. I'm curious about Traore.
Okay, you're Traore curious. No, that's fair. More of a Danny Wolf head myself, but
Danny Wolf. When Michael Porter Jr. sits, Danny Wolf is looking like a nice replacement.
I've never seen a team able to be more competent on the court with more random names. And then on days like today, when Michael Porter sits, and your boy. That you have mentioned on a pod where you can see we're starting to tucker out here. Zaire Williams. Yeah, Clowney. And Zaire Williams. None of those guys were playing tonight. God, the minutes are so evenly distributed. It's like 18 minutes here, 20 minutes here, 22 minutes here.
It's painful. They played 10 guys the same amount of minutes. No fantasy news in there.
It's the worst box score experience.
Yep. Yeah. And that's what I got outside of somebody in Miami. If they do a consolidation trade.
There's so many fun names we could name. I'll throw out quickly just Dylan Caldwell. I know you've been a fan of Maxime Renaud, the kind of softer touch center, and I'm more of a Caldwell guy. I like the spark he brings to the team. But we can keep getting into the weeds, pull up the G League rosters. But I'm pretty impressed with our efficiency here on Glue Guys. We're 1:22 in. So this has been, again, one of the funnest pods for us. I hope you guys enjoy it. Please mention in the comments any players you want to have on the list, any discrepancies with our list. Just let us know what you think.
Yeah, those comments, I will say, they really do help as far as promoting the podcast a little bit. So even if you just pop in and say, these guys are DUM, then, that's helpful as well. So, but, throw anything in there.
And a reminder too, just hit the subscribe button if you're listening every week and you haven't. It's really helpful, whether it's on the audio pod or if you're listening on YouTube. Just hit the subscribe. It's super. We're not very good about saying that. Other people have the buttons and the friggin' flash on the screen, and they got hyperlinks. And I actually did make a hyperlink for our YouTube channel that is in the description of these videos. Yeah, so now you can hit a button. But working on some bells and whistles, but please do subscribe. We really appreciate it. Just, it's no big deal. But this has been Glue Guys for your boy Natron Clean. This is Flyin J, who needs to go make another Moscow Mule, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Later.
All right, later, y'all.